we're going to be installing this Nintendo DS capture card by Loopy. I got this originally because, oops, gotta be careful of that one. Alright, there we go. I got this originally because Loopy was no longer selling the 3DS capture card. But also it was really relatively cheap. I mean, the 3DS capture card, which he is going to be producing more of, that costs around $200. This here, after tax, came to less than, I think, $68. And that was after tax and shipping. So it's a much more economic solution if you're only going to be streaming DS games. Is remove this screw, which I've already done. I forgot to hit record on there. And then take out the battery. You want to start there, and there's going to be a battery here. Battery here. Here. So that'll be 7 screws, 8 if you include the battery cover. There we go. Just wiggle it a little bit, and there we go. It is free. Yeah. All right, we'll just put that aside. They've seen better days. We just need this size here. Let's just put that. Running out of room here. Okie dokie, we've got the cutting wheel tool here, and we have to remove this whole section right here. And we're going to line it up right about to the top of this here. It's a little shape there, so this and this will be, the whole thing will be clear. All right, oops. Almost forgot one of the most important things when you're using a Dremel. Make sure you use your safety glasses. If you don't think you need them, wear them anyway. Let me tell you, I could tell you from personal experience, it's not too good to get a chunk of plastic in your eye. Just gonna clean it up a little bit here. Alright, the next step is to be cutting this little section here. There we go. Cut this out here so that this fits in there, so that this is going to basically sit in there like that, so that you can get the USB cable plugged in there. It's a USB, micro USB cable. Alright, we're just going to cut that out real quick here. Okay, I don't have a router bit for the Dremel, so I am actually going to use a drill bit as a router. I've used this technique many times before. Alright, that about does it. We're just going to clean it up a little bit with the knife. Right, not the most beautiful cut. A little sloppy, but that's all right. It's not going to be a perfect cut here. Okay, we're going to have to cut this little section right here as well. There we go. Now we're going to take the drum tool here. I'm just going to smooth that out a little bit here. Do a little test fitting here. Okay, something I noticed with this case, I kept wondering why things weren't fitting exactly right. In an official DS case, this little L shape is facing the other way. It is a mirror image, so it's not going to sit quite right. So I have to cut a bit more this away to get things to fit right. So I'm just gonna cut a bit of that away. I might have to cut the whole thing away, but you can see here, if I try to fit it in here, it fits fairly well, but it hits right there. You see that? You gotta get that. Okay, now let's test the fit here. That's pretty snug in there. That is pretty snug. There you go. See my sloppy little hole there. Yeah. And as you can see, it's going to be good enough. They included a USB, or Loopy included a USB cable here. Look at that. That is a thing of beauty. Oh, but man, that thing feels like it's a death grip on the connector. Now the next step is going to be to fill this hole here. So that's just because we're not going to be able to use the stylus in there anymore to dock it anyway. So we're just going to fill that up with some glue. I'm going to use a bit of, this is all I've got on hand, is a DevCon plastic welder. I use this for all my custom action figure work. And I think the best way to do it in this one is to take some Scotch tape. I actually use Scotch branded tape. I find it really is the best. So I'm going to tape it from the outside. You can also tape it from, maybe we'll tape it from the inside here. We'll fill this little hole too while we're at it. I think it would be better to use the epoxy. You'd end up with a clear seal on that. This one is going to be opaque. I'm going to apply this with a toothpick because I don't want too much extra running off there. You can see that it's pretty well sealed. Doesn't need to be super thick. I'm going to try and clean it just a little bit so it's consistent. Just be mindful if you do use your fingers like an idiot like me. Wipe your hands afterwards, because look at that, even just a little bit, just casually doing this, I got a little bit of plastic welder there. It only takes a few minutes for it to adhere, but we're talking 4 to 5 minutes of handling time, but that's if you're gluing two parts together. Oh. Okie dokie, so next, the very next thing that I want to do is remove this ribbon cable so that we can disconnect the screen. Just going to lift that up a little bit here and here. And just going to be very, very careful when you remove these. You really shouldn't use your finger, but I'm going to. Seen people use really pointy tweezers to pull these out, and I really wouldn't recommend that either. But if you're careful enough, just make sure you lift up this little trap door there, a little This little flap there. Let's see if you can catch it up and get it on the camera here. Folds down, folds up. But you got to remember the fat end here has to go into here, and the short end is going to stick out. Also, it has to be, you got to make sure that the connectors, all these gold connectors, are face down. All right, and now we're going to stuff this right into here. Into this board here. So basically we're going to keep it laid down like this, and we're going to roll the cable up into there, or fold it up into there. We'll make sure the little trap door is up. You got the little trap doors on the back side instead of the front. All right, there we go. Seems to be locked into place pretty nicely. Now you take the original ribbon. There's a little adhesive backer before we go any further right here that you're going to use to lock this into place, or secure it in place. But we're going to leave that for last because you want to make sure it's positioned properly. And now we're going to connect the original ribbon cable into the 3DS capture card. Oh. Okay, got it. A little bit here. There we go. And if we did everything right, that's it. We're gonna leave that button off, and we're just going to test fit it real quick here. Grab the right base part. Oh, before we move on, I do remember that there's a little metal screw that goes into here, a little metal washer. The case replacement comes with a new one, which actually I've learned from experience it's best to use the one that comes with the case if you're going to be using the old screw, or the new screw rather. If you're going to use the new screw, use the new nut. And there you go. Okie dokie. So here's the part where you would put it all back together if you were done. If you hadn't tested it out, or if that was all secured, we'd put it back in. You see, whoops, and now I have to feed that through. But you know what? We're going to test the connection first. So it turns out, every time I'm putting this together, I thought it was because of the way that this was catching. I mean, that couldn't help. But when I put it together, this little part here, the little channel for the shoulder button, is pushing down on the ribbon cable and causing the top screen to disconnect. Yeah, it's just enough. It's just enough in the way that's able to push things around to move that cable. So I'm going to cut it down. Okay, I finally got it. I had to cut away a lot of this. A lot of that extra plastic there, or the plastic there that helped the channel for the button. Cut a lot of that away to get it to stop pushing on the ribbon cables, and now it seems to work. So now here's how I'm going to do it. I'm going to peel the back off, put the base back on here, and then hopefully everything will be close enough. Back off here. Well, anyhow, we're going to peel this back off. It would actually align right about here, but I'm going to make sure everything aligns properly by locking it into the base part first here. See the lovely mod there. It's a little askew, but that's due to my poor installation technique. Although you can see it's still going to, things still going to fit, still going to register in my computer. There you go. There you go, and that's actually right, almost exactly where it needs to be. So we're just going to push down on that a little bit. This part is not designed to be undone. So you got to get it right the first time, because you only get the first time. All right, there you go. It looks like everything's back together. Now we just need to put all the screws back into the system. Okay, now that we've finished installing the capture card, we're going to go to the website to get some drivers, 3dscapture.com, and we go to the DS Capture link. It's a very simple website. It kind of looks like we skipped over the main page and this is some sub-page without the framing, but this is it. Very basic website, and that's really all it needs to be. Very straightforward. You could also find the text-based installation guide here. Text and pictures, of course. Very straightforward as well. This is what I used in preparation for my video. Loopy does an excellent job of keeping everything very, very basic, very straightforward. Even details some issues you might be having when you do this and things to look out for. And it's pretty much perfect for what it is. So anyhow, now that we've clicked on driver and software, they're going to pop up here. You see, I've done it a few times. I was practicing this video. But all you really need to do to get to these, you just click open, and they're pretty much ready to go. I already have the driver installed. Double click, very simple driver installation. We're not going to go through that since we already did it. And the DS Capture software doesn't actually need to be installed. It just runs. I could just run it right out of this folder here. There you go. And there we go. And it's fully loaded. You can see here. And now I'm going to turn on the DS. I have Pokemon Platinum in here. That's a game I was working on for another tutorial. Well, oh no, that was Pokemon Pearl. Never mind. But anyhow, there you go. I got to resist the urge to click with the mouse there. And you can see there's different ways you could arrange it. This is my preferred method, but you could also do a single window, which does the top to bottom. It looks great for opening screens like this. You get seamless integration between the top and bottom screens, which is really, really excellent for certain games. But I prefer to do the split window when I stream. And for most games, the top screen is going to be your, most DS games anyway, your top screen is going to be your main screen. But that's not always the case. There are some games where the bottom screen is the main screen. But this is my preferred way of setting this up. Keep this here, full screen, keep this a little bit, since this one you only need it for a few little things here and there. And that's pretty much it. It's very straightforward, not a lot of features, not a very feature-rich program, but everything just works. Everything looks great and it just works. You could also do GBA games, of course, with a GBA slot on the system. Just some audio settings, very simple input, output, but like I said, you won't really need to adjust any of these. Well, I've never found a need to, as it just plain works. Alright, well there you have it. Oh, I forgot to mention, if you want to do audio on this, you're going to have to provide your own audio cable and plug it in from the headphone jack on the DS to the sound card on your computer or motherboard. But aside from that, it's good to go. Alright, well thanks for checking out the video. I usually stream on Twitch. You can find me at Transient Player on Twitch. I try to stream every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday night. Hope to see you there.